Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my second attempt at one of these multi-platform live presentations on the Get Fit and Be Lean program. Last week we talked about portion control, and this week we're going to talk about the two veggie goal. Welcome, Enmon Zavian. Thank you for joining. I hope that you guys will comment, send any questions you have. I hope that you've been looking at the videos that I've posted this week about the two veggie goal. So why the two veggie goal? Well, I think for most people like me, raised in the South, American diet, when you say what is for dinner, the first thing that comes up is the meat, whether that's beef or chicken or pork. And then you figure out what starch goes with the meat and add that on. Welcome, Antonio. And then you get to the point where you just kind of throw the vegetables in as sort of a addition or, completion rather than making them the primary focus of the meal. And so what am I talking about when I talk about vegetables? I'm talking about leafy green carnivorous vegetables that grow above the ground. So when I ask my patients, what does this mean? Typically they'll come up with lettuce, and that's good. Lettuce is a vegetable, but most commonly they will next talk about tomatoes, and tomatoes are a berry. They store nutrients for the plant for reproduction. They have seeds contained within a thin skin. And then they'll say carrots. Carrots are, again, not carnivorous. They're a tuber. They grow under the ground. They store starch for the plant. And so when I'm talking about 2 servings of raw or steamed vegetables at lunch and 2 servings at dinner, I'm talking about leafy green vegetables that grow above the ground. So if you can only come up with one of them, you're going to have a difficult time filling out 2 servings at lunch and 2 servings at dinner. And so you really want to expand your palate to include all of the different leafy greens that you might have seen on my recent videos: the kale, the arugula, the spinach, the fennel, the celery, and kohlrabi, all of these different leafy green vegetables that grow above the ground that you may have not had a lot of experience with growing up, or not seen them. You don't generally see them in restaurants. So you really got to kind of make an effort. Now, I can tell you that once you start doing that, once you build your repertoire of meals, once you expand your palate, it really gets quite easy. And you've seen me post some of the things that I eat pretty routinely. I love an arugula and pear salad with blue cheese, very tasty. I really enjoy my spinach and avocado salads. Welcome, Bennett. And I really have been able to expand into things that I never really ate before. So this has been very beneficial for me. I said in the most recent recipe or construction that I posted that typically when I went into the kitchen to eat, I didn't go in and look for the kale and the avocado. But today I can say that that's changed. And I think that that's had a big impact on the fact that I've lost more than 20% of my body weight in 2021. I've lost more than 5 inches off my waist. I've lost, a lot of the fatigue that I was carrying around. I've been able to lower my heart rate, my resting blood pressure, my cholesterol, and all of these things I've achieved without giving up any food groups. And that's one of the things, a lot of the dietary stuff, the fad diets you see out there, they talk about just eating meat or not eating any starches. And rather than eliminate parts of the food that I like to eat, I've been able to add new dishes and new things that I really never ate before. And so that's been really making it much easier for me to maintain a consistent approach. And it's been more than 14 months and I'm still going strong. And now I'm kind of expanding from the TikTok videos that I made for the first year into some other platforms, so that I'm hoping to get that message out a lot clearer and a lot more broadly to a lot of different audiences. So I really want to thank you guys for coming to the live. And I want to talk a little bit about the reason that I'm so hyped up on 2 servings of leafy green vegetables at lunch and 2 servings at dinner. One thing we find with dietary restrictions is people tend to get pretty hungry. And the hungrier you are, the less likely it's going to be that you're going to maintain this diet. You're going to have a hard time eliminating all, bagel and noodles and rice and bread and all that stuff, and then keeping that out of your diet for the long term. So the Get Fit and Be Lean approach, I don't really call it a diet, it's more of a program. But what I see is that the satiety that's associated with low calorie density foods that have a high bulk, they tend to really fill you up when you eat them. And so you can fight some of those biochemical processes that are going on in your body, the increased ghrelin that's released by the fat cells, the decreased stretch receptor response that tends to make you think you're not full when you are, or that you're hungry when you're really not. All of these are biochemical processes that go on in our body. And one of the most difficult ones is the thermogenic adaptation, which reduces our overall resting caloric output. And this can be really defeating when you hit a plateau and you feel like you're eating the same things you were eating before, you're doing the same amount of exercise, but all of a sudden everything really isn't adding up to progress. Thermogenic adaptation can decrease your overall caloric output by 150, 250 calories or even more. And it can be a long-term change in the way that your body burns the energy that you provide. So these carnivorous vegetables, the broccoli, the spinach, the kale, the arugula, all of these have a large amount of bulk for the calories that they provide. And they're not calorie-dense foods. And what that can do is help leave you satisfied, increase your satiety from the meals that you eat. And this allows you to continue to feel like you've had a good meal, that you're not hungry an hour or two later, and help you persist, because it really is the long-term persistence. I'm not really promoting this program for somebody that wants to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I don't think it's a good idea. And what we find with diets that are studied, most recently, New England Journal of Medicine came out with an article in February that showed that after 2 years, people who have successfully lost weight on any one of the fad diets that you want to pick tend to regain that weight. 80% of people regain that weight, and some people gain even more when they go off of the diet. And this is why I say that a diet needs to be something that you have, not something that you're on. And this is why I really focus on expanding rather than restricting. I don't talk about cutting calories. I don't talk about eliminating foods. I talk about adding those 2 servings of raw or steamed vegetables at lunch and 2 servings at dinner. I show you specific ways that I do that and ways that I have done that. There's all kinds of recipes available for things that I haven't even really eaten yet. I'm still expanding my palate and my food intake to cover things that I really never ate before. So that's the 2 vegetable goal. I do call it a goal. It's not a rule. I really don't believe in rules when it comes to eating. The only rule that I really advocate is don't eat directly from a multi-serving container into your mouth, particularly if you're doing something mindless like watching television, because that's really a pathway to massive calorie intake without a lot of satisfaction or feelings of being sated. You can really add a lot of empty calories that way that don't necessarily improve your overall feeling of having eaten well. And I think eating well is a big part of it. I think that you really need to maintain your sorry about that. That's something new for me. I got to remember to share that tweet so I can keep I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. I'm probably most active on Instagram right now just because I'm finding the software easier to manipulate and navigate. I'm trying to increase my presence on YouTube, but I struggle a little bit with the difference between the YouTube Studio and the YouTube program. So if you look at my profiles, you'll see links to the articles that I cite that are the foundation of the Get Fit and Be Lean program. And my hope is that if you read those and you have any kind of questions, that what you'll do is send those in by comment or attend the live and make some comments. And I'll try to address those individually, maybe even with its own video. And I struggled a little bit changing platforms. Most of my initial videos were all on TikTok, but I'm off that platform for now due to their response to the Ukrainian war. But I do hope you can go back there and look at some of my videos. I'm not going to go through the hassle of transferring them all because that's a pain. But I did shoot them contemporaneously while I was doing the program. So you can watch me lose every one of that 20% that I dropped. You can see every exercise I did. You can see almost every meal that I ate for an entire year. And you can see the literature that I base this approach on. So I'm hoping to create a program that people can see the validity of. I saw some doctors talking about weight loss, and they're all advocating semaglutide or semaglutide and other medications. Semaglutide's like $9,000 a year, and when you go off the medication, you regain the weight. So I don't really see any sense in advocating this stuff. I did all of this without any medication, without buying any equipment, with no enrollment, no subscription, no membership. I didn't really use any apps except for those that I post the videos with. I really think that anybody can do this pretty much anywhere for as long as they choose to do it, because I think it's a more sustainable approach for people to use. And my hope is that by doing these lives, by posting on a regular basis, I'll give people the encouragement and the information that they need and the techniques that they can use to really make a change. So thank you so much, everybody who attended. I really appreciate that. And I'll be back next week at 7 p.m. Pacific. Feel free to drop a comment on any one of my posts if you have any questions.